Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator that each and every one of you deserves and should practice daily. I'm This is another subject in a series that I'm doing, and I thank you all, newcomers, old comers, folks have been hanging around with me. It's you folks that the reason I'm doing these things and having this discussion and having conversations with you folk so that we may all reach the same spirituality or awareness and or frequency and all of the things above. So this is Wednesday morning, 22nd maybe of January, and it's 1:22 in the morning here on the East Coast. I'm in Southwest Georgia, and it's a little chilly outside, but not near as bad as it was the last couple of days. But anyway, I greet you with love and honor that you deserve every day. So the subject here at the moment is allegiance, alliance, and of like-minded beings. Now, what in the hell am I talking about? It's like, Hawkeye, have you lost your mind? And in a way, quite possibly, maybe I have. It's like, well, maybe. Um, and what I mean by this is like, there are some folks who have asked me, like, what, am I trying to preach religion or something like that? And it's like, absolutely not. I'm not trying to preach anything except spirituality. And you have to find, the way on your own. Well, after doing I had a couple of days of just being absolutely knocked out and receiving what I consider downloads. And they come sometimes in my relative explanation of this is, hey, Breaking Dawn, by the way, I see you hanging out over there. Um, is that sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 days for these things to like unwind themselves in my brain. And I'm checking on other things and doing my, looking through um, different video titles and what's going on in the world and checking news headlines and, and checking my own self out to see whether or not the recent information that I seem to be getting downloaded is getting downloaded by anybody else. Is anybody out there having the same kind of thing? And you know me, I've been talking about, hey, we need to all get along for a long time. And what came to me, it has been coming to me, but it was kind of fuzzy around the edges as to how I should discuss this. And then it just came to me here in the last half hour or so, and I was like, well, it's a little early or late in the morning, but me. Any time of the day or night is time to do a video, especially if the topic is fresh in my mind. So here we go with this alliance, allegiance. What does that mean? And so I wanted to give just a little bit of a definition of what allegiance means versus alliance, and where the two are actually, in a way, kind of attached, but not, but are. You can have one without the other, but if you have one, you probably have the other. But anyway, let me go on with this. So, there are folks that say, well, for example, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, etc. Now, with that, you say, I pledge allegiance. That means you pledge yourself, that you pledge your services. You basically pledge your life to the defense of your country, your flag, and all of those things. Now, to put on my glasses and look at what allegiance means of the definition, it's fidelity, fealty, loyalty, devotion, or in piety, that could mean faithfulness to something which is bound by a pledge or duty. Okay, let me go through that real quick. Fidelity, allegiance, fealty, loyalty, devotion, piety, meaning faithfulness to something to which someone is bound by a pledge or a duty. Like you say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Now, allegiance is the definition, one of the definitions, the loyalty of a citizen to his or her government or to a subject to his or her sovereign. What is a sovereign being, etc. Well, we're going to stay away from that at the moment, but I wanted you to say, well, okay, so what is this idea then, Hawkeye, of we're going to, the allegiance and alliance of like-minded beings? What in the dickens am I talking about? Okay, what is an alliance? And what does this have to do with us right now? An alliance is a relationship among people, groups, or states that have joined together for a mutual benefit or to achieve some common purpose, whether or not explicit agreement has been worked out among them. Members of an alliance are called allies. Alliances form in many settings, including political, military, and business. When the term is used in the context of war or armed struggle, such associations may also be called allied powers, as in World War I and World War II. All right, so what am I just suggesting? The allegiance and alliance of like-minded beings. What do I mean? Well, let's put it in these terms. If you and I are going to get along in the future of things, and for those of us who have contact or pay attention to galactic things, and whether or not you believe in the woo woo of things, and UFO, ETs, EBEs, ISBs, however you want to put our star brothers and sisters, whether or not you believe in that, it's like, well, okay. But here's the thing. Whether or not we can get along with the universe, we first have to get along on this planet. And I've been discussing this over, the last several years in one way, shape, or form or another, in that we all need to get along in this. We all need to learn how to get along. And so one of the things is like, those of us who are like-minded individuals, those of you who come and hang out at my channel and participate in the chat and so forth, and even those of you who don't participate in the chat. Hey, Deborah. I see the chat is working for this particular video, by the way. So I see you're there, that's good. I don't know what I did last time when I did the earlier video this evening. The chat it didn't even show up over here on my little, live stream YouTube thing. So YouTube does that to me once in a while. But anyway, so what about an allegiance or an alliance? What's the difference? Well, the alliance is that all of us like-minded individuals, us like-minded beings, I've been preaching this, if you will. We need to all get together, and the differences that are between us are probably very minor. And the things that we all do agree on, the core values that I discussed about that makes us all shamans in practice. We're all on this path of shamanic journey in order to have a higher vibration and to be more spiritual and to be more closer to our God or to Creator or to Source or whatever we want to wish to go there. But one of the things that keeps coming down from ET, if you will, and I use that broad-mindedly with a lot of respect, as they know, is that, the first thing we need to do is quit arguing amongst ourselves. And I keep saying this about the petty things, but that we need to make an alliance between you and me and the next guy. And whether or not we're Republican or Democrat, red, white, blue, green, purple, yellow stripes, it doesn't matter. We need to agree on the core values and just stop bickering, and then start working on the small tidbitty type things. Like, well, how many people should sit on the left? How many people? Who's going to sit on the right? Who gives a crap? Find a chair, sit down, and let's join the group, okay? And I mean that with respect, in that we put too much emphasis. Well, he should sit over there. Well, that's for. Oh, stop it. We're all beings in this universe, and we need to have an alliance with one another and just agree. Hey, I all of us like-minded beings who wish to have our core values, you know, be at the forefront, if you will. If we say that, hey, look, to the rest of us out there, to all y'all, and I don't care what kind of being you are. That's why I didn't put human. In fact, I changed it twice until I came up with the right thing. And it seemed to be being versus spirits or souls or people, and it came to me, and that's why I was a little late starting this video, but it's that all beings in the universe, and that we need to have an alliance with us like-minded beings. Let's agree. We all want good things to happen. How they happen, we differ on. But we all agree with this like-minded alliance, we want our vibrations to go up. We have the like-minded idea of let's be truthful and honest with each other. Let's show each other respect and dignity. Show each other that by being honest, that we have integrity, and that we show respect and honor to other beings, whether they be on this planet or anywhere else in the universe. And so, and in the shamanic journey, which isn't in the title of this, but it's linked in with what I'm talking about, because you must be able to allow yourself to understand there are other realms, there are other dimensions. There is the spirit realm, there is the fairy realm, there is you got to understand whether you actually, well, I don't know if they exist, but I have to allow myself the agreement that they could exist. The possibility, am I positive? Well, I've never seen a giant, but I've seen some really tall people. But I believe that there were giants. So, and I'm going to keep my mind open to the fact that more giants, or this could be part of a reality. The shaman speaking peace with a allegiance of beings, and the alliance of beings as well, Deborah. And that's what I kind of want to get into. This is like, first we have to agree to have an alliance, and then when we have the alliance, then we can have the allegiance. In other words, as if it doesn't matter to me, whoever it is that's like-minded with me, we have already formed an alliance, whether or not we know it or not, simply because we choose to speak about it, hang out in chat rooms of like-minded people. We have already allied ourselves. Whoops. How about that? We already are allies, and we are the ally of like-minded beings. I hate to like give it a name of something, but I've been kind of searching around for like, not necessarily what do we call ourselves, but it's like, well, I'm a shaman, well, I'm a this, and I'm a seeker, and I'm a spiritualist. And it came to me tonight, it was like, we are the alliance of like-minded beings. And with that, we can pledge allegiance to one another. In other words, I can say and it doesn't matter what race or ET reality or dimension you're in, as long as your core value is the same as the ancients and the shamans, then we're on the same page. So with that said, the second thing was, I could say I pledge allegiance to my fellow that kind of cogitates that it's a male form when I don't mean that, but it's all encompassing to all beings. I pledge allegiance to all like minded beings, that I will continue to pass along good energy. My pledge of allegiance with my allies of like minded beings is that let's continue to share. We are all like minded and we want this thing to happen. We want to all go to the fifth dimension and then the sixth. We're just barely hitting the fourth right now. Now, ET's been saying for a long time, we got to all pass the test. Some folks don't want to pass the test. They're like, I ain't going with you guys, and them folks are going to have to, kind of holding up the muckety muck. But the rest of us, we're like, well, where do we sink our teeth into? How can we grab onto something? And that something is that we are all like-minded beings. We don't. That's a statement of fact. If we all agreed that there is a higher source, we're like-minded beings. If we all agree that our core values, our shaman values, our religious values, our spiritual values is of like-mindedness, well, there's two, then we are an alliance and of like-minded beings, simply because of who we are and what we're doing. So it's like it's a club, but it ain't. It's just a statement of who we are as all races, as all beings, because as some folks have been saying, we've been seeing a lot more, um, spaceship type things in our atmosphere. I've been having videos about the ones I watch out my window down back here, which, by the way, it's been kind of quiet, a little unusual. But we've also had some cloudy weather down here in South Georgia. It's cloudy this evening again, and it's like, dadgummit. But anyway, with that said, though, I've seen a lot of strange things and have reported it here in my video. So in my idea of my downloads from up yonder, wherever that may be, is that we all got to stick together in this. But if we start at find a point and find a rallying point, something we can all get our heads around, whether we're 6'10" or 10'6" or 3'9" or 100 pounds or 600 pounds or green or blue or yet, it doesn't matter who we are. If we're like-minded, not hive-minded, don't even go there with this with me, because if we are all like-minded, we don't need to be hive-minded, because we've already understand the wait. We should all be individuals, but be like-minded. It's different than being hive-minded. So it's like, well, I'm not discussing this as we should all be part of the Borg, for example, that I'm 7 of 9. Well, I don't look that good, but to the point, no, I'm not a part of the Borg. I am not a part of the Matrix. I choose to use the Matrix for this thing right now, but I am with other like-minded beings in the universe, not just on this planet. Let's expand this. But, I'm concentrating more on the beings on this particular planet, you, me, and the next guy. And let's say, hey, we are already a club because we are in an alliance of like-minded beings. Our alliance is that we have these values. So it's like, do we need to be card carrying or anything? I'm not trying to suggest that. But what I am suggesting, simply because folks show up in chat rooms like Amazing Grace. Hey, again, David, love the live feed earlier. Thank you for sharing. You're absolutely welcome. And so simply see right there, Amazing Grace chimes in. Whoever, and blessings to you, but whoever you are, we can agree on that we're like-minded beings. How we perceive it is different, but we're all like-minded and we want these same core things. So we're already here. We're already a part of the club, that isn't a club. but we have already formed, because of who we are, the alliance of like-minded beings. You know, my insides are giggling a lot, you know, because I've watched a lot of British comedy and stuff over the years, and there's the, oh, now I can't remember it, something of something gentleman. It's a really crazy. I can't remember it now. Anyway, I don't want to get off topic, but so with this, you know, I'm not into necessarily, come on, let's all be card carrying members of something. But the thing is that there are people out there that are kind of, I'm kind of wandering it around myself. But even though, although I know what my journey is as a shaman, and my, you know, my purpose is to have these conversations with y'all and discuss these different viewpoints, because the shaman has to look at everything. You know, he has to sit down and meditate, or they have to sit down, and then, and there are some very spiritual women out there, by the way. Now, I gotta say though that the spiritual women are more hidden, if you will, than say some men are. Um, and but that doesn't mean that they aren't, or but anyway, but you know, I've met many medicine women along the way, but they're always sitting over in a corner somewhere, where a medicine man will walk up to you and say, "Hi, I'm such and such, and you know, I can see you have medicine," and you know, anyway. So but to the point, the women are much quieter in terms. Now, there are some women who are on the internet and through Milky Way Weekly, and Brian and them folks through there, and I can't remember everybody's name, so please, if you watch this, I love you all. But I'm trying to stay on topic here, so names will just throw me in this. But anyway, so but it's that we already are a group. And so Spirit was just saying, "Hey, let's have this conversations." Now, to the next thing, the first word in the title of the description of this was allegiance. Now, regardless of who we are, we can all agree. So with that, we can say, and I say it all the time, you know, I pray that each one of you will accept and receive the healings and the knowledge and the wisdom from the universe, from source, from creator. And so with that, it's sort of a pledge of allegiance, if you will, because I'm pledging that I will continue to do this. My allegiance is to you, to have Spirit contact me for me to share these messages in the best way that I possibly can. So I pledge my allegiance to say honorable and truthful things to all of those of you who are of a like-minded being. And we formed an alliance. I know this is really crazy. It's out there and kind of, you know, um, like it, like attracts like. I resonate with the shamanism and creator God. Absolutely, Amazing Grace. Hey, Quartz, you may not be able to read the chat, but hello, I can read it this time, Quartz. I got it. Whatever it was, YouTube screwed me up with the chat when I went live earlier, but I got it this time. I had made up my mind when I started this video that if I didn't see the chat right away, I was going to end it and try again. But anyway, so part of me is like chuckling with this about the, you know, the alliance of like-minded beings. And but the other part of me is like, I'm serious as hell. We already are. So we should recognize ourselves as such. You know, I don't know, MAGA hat, t-shirts. That's not where I'm headed with this, but it there we have to feel like we belong. And you can say, well, I listened to Brian Milky Way, and I listened to Darv Wayne, and I listened to, you know, and you know, and you guys, you know, hang out with me, and like that's really cool. But you know, we're different chapters of the same kind of thing, if you will. I, this is my version. You know, this is my life's journey. You know, R. Wayne has his different. He's still searching in a lot of ways. Where I've like and I mean this with utmost respect. I'm like, yeah, you're just getting that. Okay, I'm great. I'm glad you got it, but I've kind of had that awareness for a long time. Not to meaning that I'm better than somebody else, but some of these things I have accepted into my being for a long time, and I've lived these things like living nature and trees and things. So other people are just starting to catch on with some of this stuff, and I applaud them. Thumbs up, guys. But at the same time, regardless of where we are on this road to spirituality, which I've discussed before, and I'm just bringing this up in that the topic has been broached before, regardless of where we are on the road, or on the red road, as I like to say, towards salvation or higher energy or fourth dimension, fifth dimension, whatever it is. Those of us who are there, some of us are just standing on the road looking around going, holy crap, this is cool, which is good. But the thing is though, everybody says, well, where are you? Are you a spiritualist? You know what? I'm part of the alliance of like-minded beings, which includes everybody who wants to be spiritually advanced in any way, shape, or form. If they just hope that they will, or they're reading a passage in the Bible, or they're reading about something that, trips their trigger in the spiritual realm, they're reading about Native Americans, or whatever it may be, we're part of the same club, which is like-minded beings. Now, I say alliance, or, it's that the more that you and I agree with this, we've already formed an alliance. We just haven't high-fived each other yet. Nobody signed up and said, "Woo, I'm part of the, legions of like-minded beings." Wait a minute. But we already are. That's sort of the part of the humor of this, is like, this club already exists. Nobody stated its name. You know what I mean? But you hear, like, when I've listened to R. Wayne Steiger, for example, it's like, well, and many of us have used this. Well, we all are like-minded in this, aren't we? So, then we're in the club of like-minded beings. I don't mind necessarily joining a club or something like that, but it's not about that. I'm not trying to start a club because we already are one. That's my humor in this. It's like, we already are. We don't have to become anything, but we should become aware of it. Like, regardless of whose channel it is, if the folk on the channel are trying to do better and trying to explain their experience, and sometimes it's like, well, it's like almost like a broken record sometimes with some folks, in that, give me something new, give me something to chew on here. And one of the reasons why I don't do something every day is because there are some days I'm like going to just repeat myself really bad. And I don't want to do that. I mean, I love talking with y'all, but I'd really like to have a topic that we can chew on it when I do these live streams. So, but anyway, so the alliance already exists between us. Now, the more that we accept this like-mindedness, not hive, that as we accept it between you and me, we are opening ourselves up to those higher beings who are trying to reach out to us. As we raise our vibrations between each other, then we're allowing ourselves to hear the other beings who are trying to contact us and have conversation with us. There are people who have asked me in the chat rooms, how do you speak to your higher self? How do you speak to the ET beings? Well, first off, you have to say, I'm willing to speak to any of you good guys. You have to open up yourself to this. But first of all these things, you must be a like-minded being. You must be a part of this club that isn't a club, but is, the alliance of beings. Because as long as we all think, well, I want to be of a higher self, I want to do better. I'm a Catholic, but I'm going to be religious, and but I still want to be of a higher realm. I'm a Buddhist, and I'm going to meditate, but I want to be in a higher. We're all like-minded. Let's pick that, just that. As you hear me talk about all the time. Let's stick with the spiritual part of this and forget all about, well, Jesus said this, well, Buddha said that, and let's forget about that. It's good, but we're going to argue about the small things when it's more important that we concentrate on. Look how many of us now are in this alliance of like-minded beings, because we all want a good thing to happen. We all wish for 2019, for the veil to be lifted more, for this to happen, you got the drill. I don't have to go through it. But with that said, though, so the next thing is that as we realize that we're a part of this unseen club, because ET's watching us and they're listening. And if we have something that we can focus on, well, this guy's doing this and he's on here. Yes, but we're all of like-minded beings. Well, but he's talking about this and how, but still we're all like-minded. We're still trying to achieve a higher frequency. So rather than mamby-pamby between us, and I'm repeating myself, I realize now, is that we need to allow ourselves to say, okay, R. Wayne's this guy, Leak Project over here, and I'm just tossing out a couple of names. But, Brian, Milky Way Weekly, and myself, other people. Okay. The point is that keep doing your videos, keep bringing out what those things that you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. But let's agree that we're not going to fight amongst ourselves, because we are all of like-minded beings. We are all like-minded in what we wish to accomplish. As this happens, and I've been watching it, the last 6 months has been absolutely phenomenal across the planet. And ET's feeling it. There are other groups or other, anyway, folks are feeling it. Folks are seeing it. So the alliance is there in a subconscious way. Now the next step is to pledge our allegiance to each other, simply by saying, I pledge allegiance to the alliance of like-minded beings, that I will continue to be as positive, as honest, and show my trustworthiness to all beings on all levels in all dimensions, because of this group that I'm already a part of, because that's what we are, of this like-minded being thing. I wish to meet ET. I wish to have conference with them. I wish to learn from them. Send me some of this information so I can share it with my friends and neighbors. You never hear me say like and share the video, but I always say share the knowledge with your friends and your relatives and neighbors. Share it with anybody you can on a daily basis. Shake hands with somebody, give a smile to somebody at the cash register or something. Whatever it is, we have the opportunity at so many times in our lives, on a daily basis. I mean, just doing a video, I get people who sub me and say, God, I'm so glad I found your channel. And you know me, I try to be a humble individual, and anybody who has subbed my channel, I'm like, thank you, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, amen, thank you. Because as I've stated before, I had to have faith in my belief in my Mother Mary prophecy to myself. And that when she told me that I needed to start doing these videos, as I explained before, I do this kicking and screaming sometimes. You want me to talk about what? Are you serious? Oh, can I wait today? Oh man, no, you're going to do it right now. This is like one of them. They're going to do it right now kind of thing. We don't want you to cogitate on it, because the evidence is obvious, Dave. Tell people, we're already a part of the group. We already are. So, if we have to give a name to ourselves of who we are, because there's so many people who are like, well, is it new age? Is it old age? Is it, is it ET? Or is it, matrix? What do we call ourselves? The alliance of like minded beings, period. Now, that could go the other way too. That could be the dark side, the cabal guys. And in a way, they've already signed on. They're already a part of that club. And because, if somebody does the old, I ain't even going to go there, but you get my drift. In that they've already got that's their call sign. They're part of their own like-minded group, but it's on the dark side. So why not, just say, hey, I am the group of like-minded beings. I'm in the alliance, and the alliance is nothing more than we're all going to get along. And the allegiance to one another, I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but the allegiance is, I promise to work with you all. So if you wish to pledge your allegiance to this, this invisible alliance of like-minded beings, which it is, when you pledge your allegiance to it, ET's listening. So's the creator. So is source. Because when you say, I pledge my allegiance to other like-minded beings, I will continue to try to spread this and express it. And I think you get my drift. I didn't know where I was supposed to go with this. I just saw it earlier. It was like, got to do a video. Here we go. Live and in color from Southwest Georgia. Here's the topic of discussion. But, it's not like you say, well, I don't know if I really want to belong to this. You already do. If you have a core value and you're studying spiritualism, you're already part of the group, And I just gave it a name that sounded appropriate. Actually, ET gave me the message, because ET wants us to continue to feel like we're together with something. And human beings are such that they like to join things. Well, join the chat room, join the thing, subscribe to so we join stuff. You guys have subbed my channel, and so as I've done with many of you, and it's like, but it's okay. We like to join things. But if you don't know what you're joining, it's like, I bet there is this, I don't know, it is something. It's the alliance of like-minded beings. It's a club that doesn't exist, but it does. Maybe one could say that it's part of the Matrix. But it was interesting. I was listening to Drake and Sam Muggsy and Kent Dunn earlier on their KCOR show. Give them a little plug here in the middle of this one. But in that, that ET's listening, and they're really, really, really proud of the fact that how many people have woke up. And that they're saying that, there's the conversation is always of these like-minded people, of these we're all like-minded. And so ET's like, well, how many of us, raise your hand, will say, well, as long as ET ain't gonna blast me with a blaster or probe me with something weird or not weird, anyway, without my permission or whatever, it's like, well, hang on here. But if ET is really here, and everything I've gotten from ET has been on the positive side, and I've shared every bit of, well, most every bit with you, in that, so these things I've been talking about, we're going to take over the planet. Absolutely. And we're going to take it over without firing a shot. Oh, am I a rebel? Yeah, because I'm saying, hey, let's say a prayer for our enemy. Let's forgive our neighbor. Let's go back and see if we can't fix some of these frequencies that have gotten us all out of whack. How do we get better at this? How do we come better allied with our like-mindedness? I try to bring it back around. That's why I was so good in extemporaneous speaking. I'm laughing, but I'm not. I really was. I guess maybe I still got a gift for gab, as some people like, "Well, you should have been a politician, Hawkeye." Maybe I should have, but to the point though, I saw too much of the craziness there. Uh, so anyway, it's important that some people need a focal point. So if giving this a name, and I've said before, I preach religion without religion. You know, if there's anything, if somebody says, "Well, you know, are you trying to start a cult, Dave?" I'm like, "No, I'm trying. If I am, it would be the religion that's not a religion. That's, you know, what? Yeah, I'm starting a religion that has nothing to do with religion. What that doesn't make sense exactly. You know, I'm talking about spiritualism. You know, I don't want to make a religion out of this. I don't necessarily want to make it a club, but because there are so many of us like-minded beings, we already are a club. We already are an alliance. So let's continue to work that way and support each other in whatever way we can. And if we got minor differences, fine. But you know, I'm repeating myself with the core value thing, but it's like they're talking in my ear right now, like, you gotta let them know, Hawkeye, that this is it's really basic, but it's danged important. And that for every person who goes, you know what? I am one of those like-minded beings. I do agree. You know, I'm not necessarily how to get there. You know, if people who climb mountains or whatever, one guy picks over here and another guy thinks this is better. It doesn't matter as long as you get to the top and you don't kill yourself. That's what's important, isn't it? And the journey for each person, you know. But if we're all like-minded and we want to reach the top of the mountain, we're all part of the club. I know I keep bringing it back around, folks. I find it humorous and exciting at the same time, you know, that this is actually true, you know. It's like, wow, there it is. That, and like, well, okie dokie, here we go. Look, I'm looking for my glasses because I'm trying to squint too hard to to see see what y'all have wrote over here. But anyway, let me scroll back up here a little bit, and thank you again, Amazing Grace, about for the compliments. Uh, uh, Amazing Grace said, "People walk in their truths, either lifts others up or they walk away." That's very true. And Court, you say, I read through the link about the 1500-year-old Bible. People that have held on to their beliefs for so long are going to get upset that it's been a lie. I was smart in not converting to anything. By what? Remove the spaces and put that link in the. I I missed that one. Authenticity, absolutely. Yeah, Amazing Grace. Spirit is pushy sometimes. I mean, you know, they like literally kick me in the butt kind of deal. Love and light has always won within those hearts willing to inspire to lift up one another. Absolutely, Amazing Grace. Of course, says subscribes. Hallelujah, Amazing Grace. Right. I'm starting a religion that isn't a religion, right there. You know, that's the irony of it all. Instead of trying to be always right, how about trying to coexist? Exactly true as Amazing Grace states, Quartz. I agree 110% with that. And that's sort of my, you know, my kick about this. But, you know, in listening into the reports tonight and some other downloads that I got over the weekend, the message is, you know, is continued to be clear that ET wants us to continue to get along. And if it means that, you know, we got to say that we all belong to a club of like-minded beings, if, you know, and I'm using this as that if someone needs a foothold, if someone needs, you know, well, I don't know how I belong, I'm feeling spiritual, and then how about we're just like-minded beings? If you gotta have something, you got a name to be a part of, then let's make it like-minded beings. And the alliance part or the allegiance, but you know, If you wish to cooperate with one another, then that's an alliance. And if you swear or promise that your fellow like-minded beings that you're going to try to be the best that you can, then that's your allegiance. It's actually quite simple. But now, am I trying to say that you should give up your sovereignty and all that? Nah, 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 nah. Because creator and source don't want that. Neither do the ISBs or the EBEs or ETs or our space brothers, however you want to put it. They like the fact that we are individuals, but they would also like us to understand that we are all like-minded beings. The hive mind thought, oh, well, if we all agree with this, I've heard some folks in their diatribe, and I got to say that I just want to like stop what you're doing, stop, because you're pushing in negative nonsense. Well, these people, these all ETs aren't good. Well, that's true. And a lot of damn humans ain't very good neither. But what we need to do with this alliance of like-minded beings, you and I and the rest of us, we need to prove it to ET, regardless of race, creed, color, social status, or whatever. We got to let them know. I am a like-minded being. Just say it out loud, say it out proud. I am a like-minded being on the good side. I'm working for the cause. The cause. What's the cause? Now, there's some statements going on around out on the internet, and I'm not going to drop any names yet because it's hard for me to explain in my own personal way, but I will say that it's related to the Christus with the K. It's related to the Christ consciousness thousands and thousands of years older than when Christ was nailed to the cross. And that there are other things that are being believed, but the cause is whether or not you're on the cause of the Christ consciousness or the Buddha consciousness or the higher source consciousness, like-minded being, you're part of the cause. If you're on the other side, we're like the hell with Christians, Satanism, killing babies, or whatever is puts you on the dark side, then you're not part of the cause. You may be, never mind, that it would have been a bad joke and really inappropriate. But anyway, skipping on, but we are all a part of the cause of making planet Earth better. The cause of bringing this like-minded beings together in an alliance so that we're going to work it out. We're going to get a cup of coffee. We're going to sit down and have a beer, and we're going to talk about it. It's like, so I don't like Limburger cheese, but but I love liverwurst. It's like, hey, so you don't like liverwurst? Oh, it's all right. Some people call it pate. I went to a pate one time and they served liverwurst. Anyway, but to the getting out the little wacky out on the side, I was asked to repent in, wait a minute, let me put my glasses on here. Consciousness of peace, love, and unity, Amazing Grace. Absolutely. The Club of Light. That's a good one. Quartz, Amazing Grace. Yeah. Of course, I was asked to repent in a Luna Ashes stream by someone, and I said that I'm not going to repent to what I do not believe in. Yeah, you got to stand up for yourself. Absolutely. And it's like when I did that video about being called a heretic. It's perfectly all right. And I'm defending Jesus. I'm defending Christ. I'm trying to tell people there's more to the story. You don't know it all. And some of the stuff they have told you has been distorted. I agree with the Christ thing, but hang on, I'm a heretic because I don't preach the Bible. And so that's what's heresy, but I'll stand up for Jesus every day of the week, I'm sorry. Now, was his name Jesus at the time? Well, they didn't have a J. There's all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to say, do I believe in the Christ? Absolutely. And but I believe it's so much higher than other people. So it's like, but we can all agree that in that respect, whether he was nailed to a cross or it happened there, whether he was born in Bethlehem on Christmas, let's forget all that. Let's just focus with what Jesus represented. He represented one of the dangest shamans on this planet that's ever walked on this planet. He showed us how to walk on water. He showed him how to, take 5 fishes and a couple loaves and feed, 100 people. If he fed 20 people, it would have been a miracle. But, to the point though, so it's like, and that's what a being of high spiritual nature would be and is be, you know. We are all beings of the universe. And if we start there and stay there, it doesn't matter. I'm a carpenter. I've been a plumber. I know how to wire houses and stuff. I mean, hey, I'm what they call a jack of all trades, but I'm not a master in any of those things. I am a master puppeteer, but that's different. But to the point though, so there are people who are masters in one item, and they are so good, and that's what's great. But they might not understand the things that I know. Like, well, they might be a really good, I always use brain surgeon, but they might be a brain surgeon. But if a breaker trips in their house, do they know how to go fix it? Well, I don't know. The lights went off in the room. I had to call somebody, okie dokie. But you're really good at what you do. And the reason I bring this up is because it doesn't matter what we know in that respect. It's whether or not we're like-minded in our spiritual sense. And that we will keep an open mind that, oh my God, there might actually be a 4th or 5th dimension. There are people out there that we just have to get them on board that we may be actually transcending into another dimension. They're looking around going, what's all this shit talk about 5th dimension? And there are folks out there now who are trying to say, oh, well, yeah, we're right. We're coming right into the 5th. Oh, no, we ain't. We're not even into the 4th good. When you start seeing ghosts appear before your eyes, when you start seeing a rainbow of colors, and when normal people start seeing each other's auras, that'll be a key sign with people going, holy crap, what? Welcome to the new world. Welcome to the alliance of like-minded beings. It's a club without a club, but it gives folks a place to be able to say, you know what? I'm a like-minded being. There's no religion to it. You know what I'm saying? There's no connotations. It doesn't matter who, what, where you come from, but we are all like-minded beings. And that's just the truth. And if you agree to get along with me and the rest of us, then we've formed an alliance. And I will continue to pledge my prayers and my energy and whatever I can from source and from my ET friends up yonder. I've been getting a nod up and down here that the being that contacted me almost 4 years ago when I went to Ohio, and I did a video about it, and the blue orbs from the petroglyphs in Ohio. If you haven't watched that video, I need to do an update with that. I got to find the pictures. But anyway, but with that said, so then I've been having the ET dimensional being that contacted me there in Ohio that night has come back around and has made sure that I know he's there. And not for any particular reason than to say his name and say, I just want to make sure that you're in contact. Yep, I heard you. Cool, groovy. Stuff's going on in space. Thank you. Keep an eye out your window when it's not, when it's not cloudy. Thank you. Well, we all kind of know that. But anyway, so with that said, though, thank you for joining the club of like-minded beings. Whether you thought you joined it or not. But the thing is we, and I know you're kind of getting along with what I'm going with this. We must be proud to be a part of this group that's not a group. We need to be proud and wear our badges proudly and say, I am part of the alliance of like minded beings. And whether you use the word alliance, you can just say, I'm a part of the like minded beings, you know? And that will explain it to anybody, whatever chat room you're in. It's like, well, I'm glad you're a Christian, but I'm a part of the like minded beings. And it's like, well, so? Well, yeah, but you can have your religion and I can still be a like minded being over here. I can respect you and your religion when you try to convert me back to a religion. I keep saying, don't go there, uh, you know, the Vatican's still having issues over there. The Pope's having uh, issues with a cardinal. They knew damn well and good that the cardinal that the Pope brought over to the Vatican was a pedophile from Argentina, because um, um, the guy that's posing as the Pope right now, he left Argentina because he was going to be part of the same indictment with the same cardinal from Argentina, because that's where, I hate to use the word Francis, but that's where El Popo is from. So he knew this guy. They were pedophiles together. And oh, the stink. Oh, yeah, they knew about it. And people with the Catholic Church have had enough of this stuff. How can you believe in a church when they're covering up their own pedophilia? And the Pope says in one of his things I was reading online earlier today, it's like, oh, the priest must stand up for what they do and they should have justice. Well, what about the 300 plus priests that the Pope exonerated and forgave them their sins and said, you 300 plus are okie dokie, How can we trust anybody? They're not part of my club of like minded individuals, if you get my drift. So let's make sure that we continue with what we're doing. I'm trying to give an attaboy to everybody. Attaboy, you stick with this. Let me see what y'all got to say here. Amazing Grace. If someone doesn't like something I do, I say, great, more for me. Kind of, sort of. There you go. 1111, step into the enlightenment of true, authentic self, unapologetically. Thank you, Amazing Grace. Quartz says the 1500-year-old Bible reveals that Jesus is not the Son of God and that he was not crucified on the cross. And that is part of what I read on the All Christian News website. And you haven't had a UFO experience in a long time. Well, that's supposed to ramp up. And just looking on YouTube and places, people are starting to see more things. Just, I speak about it when I think it's important. I've noticed them out the window, but I don't do a video every time, but I try to do updates. But the thing is, more folks are seeing them. And that's because the more of us who are like-minded are lifting up the veil. The energy of the planet, the frequency has changed. It's gone up. And when you watch the Schumann resonance before I started this video, it was spiking again. Now I didn't stop to go over and look at the moment, but you could be spiking at the moment. Could be one reason why I'm like really wound up at 2:19 in the morning. But I just thought it was important to bring this up, just as a hey, we are all like-minded individuals in this. We just differ on the certain semantics, and it doesn't matter. It's like and Quartz. I know that there's information out there that the Christ did not exist. I get it. But in my heart and some of the things that I see, and maybe it's from a parallel universe, I don't know, or a different timeline, but I believe that the Christ existed. Whether it's what is in the Bible now or not, it is immaterial. In my heart of hearts, I believe that there was a shaman who was Christ-like, who could have been Buddha, but that whoever they wanted to write about it, to start a religion, they based it upon something or someone. Now, with that said, though, and actually, the Christ figure could actually be an amalgamation of more than one person, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and that they were using these Buddha type things along with their Jewish traditions, to do a mix and match. And what a lot of people don't understand with Christianity is the idea of an altar and all this kind of stuff, it came from paganism. They wanted to convert the pagans, and the pagans were like, well, how can you have a thing without a sacrifice? So thus they have the sacrifice of the altar for the Catholics, where they do all this quote magic and change, transfiguration of blood, wine into blood, and etc. And but through the whole point with but the preacher has to stand up in front of you. Why? You has to be elevated. Why? Well, these are all pagan kind of symbols, hierarchy, and all this other kind of crap, having nothing to do with religion or with spirituality, I must say. It's all about religion and nothing about the spirit. So, but what all people in all religions can say is, I want to talk to God. And in that, we're like-minded. Holy crap. The club's a lot bigger than people want to give it credit to, you know what I'm saying? Or they don't want to agree. Well, I'm a Catholic, but do you believe in heaven? Well, yeah. Do you believe in a God or supreme being? Well, yeah. Well, then, okay. Well, then you kind of sort of believe what the Buddhists do. What? Well, hang on here. Do you believe in being good? Well, Jesus was a good person. Well, so was Buddha. What? Well, wait a minute. Hang on. That means we're like-minded. Welcome to the club. So see, we don't have to argue over the petty things as long as we agree on the big items. Folks in Georgia are going to cook collard greens different than people in southern Florida. Folks in, iced tea in Minnesota ain't what iced tea is down here in South Georgia. I'm just saying, but it's still iced tea, right? And some folks like, iced tea, what you want ice in your tea for? That just don't make no sense. Well, Southerners know better than that. But to the point, it's like, so? But we are all Americans. Yeah, well, some people like sweet tea and other people, some people like possum on a half shell, armadillo, and some people eat crawdads and other people won't, there go the Cajuns. Them Cajuns love them crawdads. But to the point though, but we can all agree on stuff. So we have different tastes. We have been taught by society to argue over the little things, which has kept this entire planet locked down with our frequency. So when it's okay to be different. Don't push your views on me. I won't push my views on you. Now, I'll sit here and have the conversation, but you can shut me off when you want to. You can say, well, I think Dave's really gone off the rail. Bye-bye, click, and you're out of there. So, but we have a choice. So, but in society, so much of us have learned this behavior without even paying attention. It happened while we weren't even looking. We were just watching television one day, and all of a sudden we started getting triggered with all these different shapes and forms and things. And it's like, what happened along the way? We lost our way. We forgot that we were part of this club that's not a club. We forgot that with all our differences, we still have a like mind, if we think about it, if we choose to. So there you go with that. So let me. I see somebody wrote exactly. I haven't had it. Okay, true. The Vatican did not want the truth to get out. They still don't want the truth to get out. My friend, Sister Helene, back in 1970, I've told about some of these things, but she was telling me, David, you have no idea. And when she looked at you with that stern nun look, that would turn you to stone, just about damn near as bad as Medusa, turn you to stone like. And so it was like, but she would give me that look like, you know what I mean? There's stuff in there that they don't want us to know about. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Okay, sister, okie dokie. And And I learned a lot too from, oh man, he was on Coast to Coast a lot back in the late 80s and 90s. Father, oh man, he wrote books and talked about the Vatican. He let that stuff out. And the things that he put out, even though it was a book on fiction, there was so much truth in his books. I can't. He was an Irish gentleman, and I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, he was talking about the Pope and dark magic and stuff in the Vatican back in the 80s and in the 90s. And he was on talk radio, and and he what was interesting, and maybe I'll remember his name here in a minute, but what was interesting to me is that he would say on the radio, would say, you know, ask me a yes or no. Yes, I can talk about it. No, I can't. Well, if my vow says I can't give you details, but if you ask me a yes or no question, my vows also say I cannot lie. So if somebody says, well, is the Pope a pedophile? He would have to say, I can't answer that. I'm not allowed to, which would kind of say, rather than an answer of no, for example. So through his discussions, you could obviously tell if he said, oh, no, that's not true. Well, then maybe the other is. And Sister Helene told me, I can't lie to you, but I can't give you details because that would break my vow. But so if you ask me the question correctly, you will get the answer. So I learned how to question her about certain things. We'd have a discussion. She'd go, well, I need a yes or no answer. I need a yes or no question. And I'd go, is the Vatican hiding facts about Jesus? Yes. Oh, is the Vatican hiding facts about Mother Mary? Yes. So it was like, but can you explain to me what they're, no, I can't answer that. Yeah, I can't tell you why they're hiding it or what they're hiding, but I can say that they're hiding. So the whole process of me, and I spent several weeks in the evenings with Sister Helene having these discussions after her being my teacher at Tampa Catholic. But so I really got down on some stuff with asking because I got really good at it, and she'd kind of cock her eye or give me one of those, you want to go there, like rephrase that question. I knew right away. I mean, it got to be almost to the point where, and I actually do believe she was literally sharing mental images with me because she'd give me this look like really concentrated. And I'd go, well, is the Vatican hiding something about Mary Magdalene? And she'd go, yes. And I go, whoa. And I'd be like, get a mental image, and this was in 1970 before I knew much about this, stuff about mental things. And even though that I had had some experiences way before 1970, but the point being that, the older you get and the more practice you get, but I realize now that Sister Helene did send me, mental images on these things because she'd been to the Vatican. She talked to me about how she went to the Vatican and she was allowed down in some of the catacombs and she was a friend of this person and that person. And so with all of that said, it was like, oh, so I could trust her. I believed her. She was honest, her integrity was impeccable. And now these things are coming out now. But here's the bottom line to that. Regardless of her religious values or whatever, she was a person of a like-minded being. Even though she was a Dominican nun, even though she'd done, but she was still, regardless of all of the above that she was in part of the cause, part of the alliance of like-minded beings, because that's what she taught me. We can have our differences as long as we are like-minded in this, as long as we stay true to ourselves. That was in 1970, and she was religious, but she wasn't some kind of Bible thumper. She was a physics teacher. She taught, graphic design and architectural design and structural engineering, but she knew the Bible, but it was like, there are more practical things that are more important than repeating the Bible, David. That's what she said. She said, told me when I asked her about becoming a priest, she said, go study Buddha. Become a Buddhist. Don't become a priest. Not in the Catholic Church. If you want to become a monk or study that or whatever, okay, and now here I am a hermit. But so that little bit of tidbit of story, though, is just kind of to back up some of the idea that this is really a serious subject here. There are a lot of us who are of like-minded. And let's just make our presence known. Just raise your hand. I'm a like-minded individual. You know what I mean? And but to the point though, if someone seems to be searching for something to join or be a part of, ask them a couple of simple questions. Are you a compassionate person? Yeah. Do you feel like we should feed the hungry? Yeah. Do you think we should fix homelessness? Well, yeah. And don't ask them about how, but you ask them core value things. If you say, what about the homeless people? And if somebody says, they're homeless, they're just a bunch of drunk, that person ain't in your league. They're not of the like-mindedness. So simple questions. How do you feel about the homeless? Well, I wish they had jobs. And yeah, well, so do I, but that's not what I asked you. Well, something must have happened that they're homeless and that, at least we could do. Okay. So if you're compassionate, you're part of the group. If you're showing love and compassion and, you're part of the group. You don't have to sign up. You just are. It just is. But to those folks who are like, yeah, but if I'm not a Christian or if I'm not thumping my Bible or some kind of book, how do I know if I belong to anything? You're part of the alliance of like-minded beings simply because of what we do. We think alike on these core values. That's what makes us special. And I am applauding every single one of you. And let's continue to pass it along, my friends. Yeah, all right, yeah, let's do this. Us like-minded beings, like LMBs. We're a bunch of LMBs. I'm, trying to stay away from any of that right there. But let me run back up here. And even give what is right. Oh, wait. The Vatican hides their shame under the robes and behind the raised altars. Absolutely. They create chaos to confuse the people. Absolutely. There's stuff in the Bible and the religion that is so contradictory. I had catechism class every day when I was in Catholic school. And I was in Catholic school from first grade to 12. I graduated Tampa Catholic High School. And the thing is that every single day we had religion class. And some of the stuff I was like, I'm not buying this. I'm going to read it. You're going to test me on it. Yeah, how can you get a D in religion? Because I didn't believe that crap they were trying to tell me. I never did, And in 1970, when I talked with one of my teachers, she was like, I don't believe some of this neither, because they're hiding the truth from us. Let me tell you some of the real story that I can't teach you in the classroom, because then they would throw me out of the thing and, I'd break my vow, but me and you can chat. So, anyway, and even that, what is a 15-year-old Bible says is true. It doesn't change that we need to come together and learn to be in peace and harmony with each other. Exactly, Quartz. If anything, the Bible puts us at odds with one another. I mean, you've heard me talk about when my granny was dying. I had 3 different, Catholic priest, a Methodist, and a Baptist. And they all said, sorry, if your grandma don't get baptized, she's going to hell. And I said, I'm sorry, you 3 guys, you all are going to hell. My granny's going to heaven. She's a blessed person. She ain't never heard a fly. And you trying to tell me that because she doesn't belong to your religion, she's going to hell? Bye, you guys. If anybody's going to hell, you guys are, because you don't even know the woman, and you're judging her, and you're being God. But to that point, though, They don't teach harmony. It was like, well, let's say a prayer so that your grandmother will hopefully go to heaven. That she has spoken to Jesus. Can we just say, come on, let's pray for someone who's fixing to pass into the other realms. Can we just agree upon that? I don't care what religion you are. If you've got a relative that's fixing to pass over, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray that their transition's good. I'm going to pray that you, as an individual, you're going to be at loss with this person when they cross over. I'm going to pray for that they will be minimized. Yeah, but you're going to come up to me because you're a religious dude and say, well, I'm sorry, but you're not of my religion, therefore you're going to hell. I'm agreeing with you, Quartz, in that they're teaching chaos between Christian religions. Between people. You're going to hell. Well, can't you just sit down and pray with my grandmother? Can't you just, no, well, because she's going to hell. She's not converted to my what? And people wonder why I have such an attitude about Christians sometimes. But it's not all Christians. Is that what Christians have a tendency to push upon other beings? Well, if you're not a Christian and washed in the blood of Jesus, you ain't going. And it's like, in my world, you're going, even though you don't believe the same things I do. You don't believe that a rock or a tree has rights as a being in the universe. Well, Jesus, but yeah, but Jesus, talked to the birds and the bees. And how do you think he reproduced the fishes and he knew atomic structure. He knew how to manipulate time and space. What are you talking about? Wait a minute. Oh, it's a miracle. Well, okay, yeah. But if you know how to manipulate time and space, if you know how to manipulate atomic structure with your own being and with your own light form, then it's science. It's not necessarily a miracle. So, but to say, woo, and Jesus said to his, if you believe this story, come on, get out of the boat and walk with me on the water. I can't do it. Well, sure you can. You know, um, uh, there's lots of proof that you may not walk upon the water, but there are monks who don't sink very deep into the water. I know I've walked through my own swamp sometimes, and I barely get down in the mud because I'm literally thinking light. And the person who's not near as heavy as I am, walking right behind me in the same mud, sinks down this deep. And they go, Mr. Dave, how come you didn't get sink down in the mud? And I go, because I think light. I think when I walk, I'm light as a feather, and therefore how I step. And it's like, no. Well, then how come you sunk this deep and I only sunk this deep? Same mud, same place. If you'd have walked in my footsteps, but that, people don't get it. I sometimes don't get it, but I understand that it exists because the power of my thought, I can make myself feel lighter on the mud. I can send a message through my feet that it's a weird thing, but it works. And but if you don't believe that it can work at all, you're going to sink up to your knees in the mud. Just saying, and but if you don't believe it and don't practice it, then you're not of like mind. I go back around again. And Amazing Grace is say they have rewritten the Bible to manipulate their own agenda of power and control. And Amazing Grace, you're absolutely right. A couple of years ago, the Pope came out and said, we rewrote the Bible. It's the new and revised Catholic Bible, easier to read and understand. And I'm like, well, wait a minute now. I had a 1948 version printed in Poland or overseas. And it was the Douay-Rheims version Bible that I still go back and read. It is so easy to read and understand. It's very simple. There's not a bunch of ye's and thys and thous in it like what's in the King James version. Oh my God, that is a horrible version of the Bible to read. But here's the deal: in the last chapter of the Bible, and I mean, yeah, then towards the last verses in Revelations or the Apocryphy, if you will, and the other, it's clearly states any man who changes the word and of the word, the book of life shall be written out of the book of life forever, and so forth. But here's the deal. So here's the Pope, who's supposed to be, Christ on earth kind of deal, blah, blah, blah. They changed the Bible when it clearly says in the Bible, don't change the Bible. Well, but we're making it easier to read. No, wait, it says in the Bible, don't change it. And they did anyway. And then the Pope told all Catholics, get rid of your old Bibles and buy the new Bible. Well, that's going to make money because you're going to have to buy their version. But if you read the old Bibles, that you are a heretic. You're committing a heresy if you read your old Catholic Bible. And I told my Catholic friends back then, I was like, are you buying this shit? Are you seriously buying this? The Pope is breaking the rule of God from his own Bible and then telling you to throw that version away and get the new and improved version. And there are Catholic law. Well, the Pope said so. Yeah, but the Bible said don't. If you believe it's the word of God, then how can you go, well, yeah, but he's the Pope. Yeah, but he shouldn't be changing the Bible neither. Oh, but it's okay. He's the Pope and he's the leader. And I'm saying you're an idiot for following this clown. Just saying, if you're going to read it, I want to read the oldest scrolls you got, not what you've interpreted for me. I want to interpret it for myself. And when you read the old versions, it's very simple to understand. It really is. I had to give my Bible back to the person it belonged to. That was an interesting story about the Bible in itself. But I go online and use the Bible thingy, and I go to the older versions, and it's much easier to read. It's quite frankly easy to understand. And I don't get it why somebody wants to change the damn thing, because they want to fix it to why not just print it? Go with the older version that's easy to read and then print it. Well, I don't know. I don't like these two Psalms. What? Yeah. Check on the older versions of a Catholic Bible, for example, and even in some of the newer King James versions, the Psalms are not the same. Starting around 36 to 48 in there, the Psalms are all messed up. Now, why would they do that? Why would they leave some Psalms out and print some of them? Well, if they're printing the Bible, wouldn't they print them all? Wouldn't they print them in the order? Well, no. I've gotten in arguments with people and say, look, my Bible says Psalm 44 says this, and in your Bible, Psalm 44 says something totally different. Well, wait a minute, whose Bible's right? Mine is an older version, but you're using a new version of King James, and you're telling me that I'm reading the wrong one. Check the printing. Who's correct? Older version, newer version, older version. So, but yes, to the point, are they changing it? Yes, and they're changing it right in front of it. God and everybody. Some of these preachers out there now, well, I got a new version of the King James. What you need is an old version of the King James, because they done move some things around. So when you go to preaching your hellfire and brimstone, you're not on the same page. Just saying. Pamela, hi there. It must have been extremely difficult to have a career in which you would have to vow to keep crimes confidential. Absolutely. And as a nun, sister always told me, she goes, because I asked her, I said, why are you still a nun if you know that there are all these secrets? She said, because I made my vow to God, not the church. And she goes, and I got it. What else am I going to do? I'm a teacher, which is what I love. And I don't necessarily, she wasn't into, property or something like that, because she took a vow of basically poverty. And so she was where she wanted to be. She had a place to live. She had 3 squares a day, and she got to teach people. What's wrong with that? Hard to say, and if you made your vow to God that you were going to do these things, well, then there you go. So she saw it as where else am I going to be able to do what I'm doing already? So to that, Let's see. This thing scrolls down. Um, yeah, there's no need to compete, Quartz. Pamela says, I have the gift of being able to see an individual's ancestral DNA and saw Anna's Mayan DNA last summer. I'm the one who sent her the Mayan deck. Awesome. That's cool. Wonder, and I don't know why, but I like learning things for myself. Having someone just tell me feels so easy. You're right, Quartz. And one of the things, like in the shamanic training, you have to go to a master so they can point things out to you. And Confucius was like, bird in hand, we're two in bush. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you got what you got on your plate, be thankful for it rather than, but to the point, it's like you have to have a little bit of guidance. And it's like learning things on your own. But if you don't have like an outline, now, but I agree with you, someone should explain this is how things are. Now, look out for the road signs, pay attention to the deer crossing the road, but have at it. Learn how to drive, if you will. But at the same time, it's nice to have a little bit of instruction to get you started on the road. So, but I agree with you in that Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. And some of that would be the wrong instructions, my humble opinion. But I've already had that conversation. Amazing Grace, you're right. When I was talking about trust, I was speaking about that yesterday, about that and how, it is best to trust our own intuition. That's why I did so poorly in religion class at Catholic school. Like, what? Don't disagree with a nun who's pissed, Woo. Anyway, didn't he also add a new sin, the sin of non-recycling? I could swear I heard that somewhere, Pamela. He did. He's making up shit. It is like, uh, Amazing Grace, you think yours is a 1611 Bible? Um, Look in it and see if it has the Douay Reams or if it was after that, because that's about the time when King James made the switch. And he added a lot of lords and kings and stuff that is not in some of the older texts that I was reading. But because King James was the king of two separate kingdoms, which was a first for back then, he also considered him to be God on earth, that's the reason he started the King James Version in the Church of England, because the Pope didn't agree with him. So he became his own Pope, his own God, his own Lord, and the King of Kings. That's him, actually, because he was the King of Kings on earth, and that he was the Lord. And so there's a lot of stuff that in those king thingies, and a lot of repetition, tongue-tied stuff. It's only in the King James Version, well, mostly. But when you go into the Douay Reams and the older versions of the Bible, when you read through that stuff, there's not all this Lord thingy, blah, blah. And it really, it interrupts your train of thought. You can't read the passage. And like, what the hell did he just mean? You got to read it over. And, but the older versions don't have all that crap in it. But you have to understand what King George, King George, King James, George the jungle, watch out for that tree. Anyway, but the King James Version, in that a lot of the people who don't even know that the King James Version they're reading now is not the King James Version that King James wrote. So it's like they've even subjected even his version. Anyway, so bottom line, though, what's the core value? What is the like-mindedness between us? What is our gut feeling in this? What is the spirituality in the message? Not the message itself. But yeah, being silly is allowed here on Hawkeye's channel. You damn right. If you don't want to be silly, you gotta. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not either. I'm kidding. I'm not. Yes, I am. Amazing. I'd like to be spirit guided myself, listening to Mother Earth on Father Sky. Absolutely amazing. I tend to keep to myself for the most part, hermit mode, like me. I'll have to look at it. I'll let you know next time I catch you on. Okay, wonderful. Are you talking about the which Bible it is? Absolutely. Now it's more for your point of view. I brought that up because it's that unless you know of these different versions, you just kind of like go along. But I want something when I read it that I'm not like stumbling over the words. And I want when I read it for it to make sense to me. And the older versions do that. They just fill the bill without any kind of extra help. Why? I still don't understand why it needs to be a new version. Because it is if you have the right older version, they're actually fairly easy to read. Anyway, enough of the Bible thing. But what we but here's to the point that all of y'all in the chat at the moment, all of us, all y'alls and me, we can agree on this. We are like-minded in that we all believe in a source. We all believe in a higher power. We all believe in being compassionate. So therefore we are of this alliance of like-minded beings. Welcome to the club, my friends and neighbors, to the club of the alliance of like-minded beings. I'm having a ball with this, if you could tell. My insides are just chuckling out the yin yang because I'm thinking of all the different people. Like, well, you got to belong, but you have to believe in Jesus in order to belong to. You have to be washed in the blood. Yeah, I'm thinking of all these preachers and folks that have been around and listened to them preach. I've preached myself a time or two. And I guess I'm doing it right now. But with that said, though, as part of the alliance of like-minded beings, I'm trying to remember that show on the like the something like-minded gentlemen or something. Anyway, it's a British comedy. It's really weird. You can catch it on Hulu. But anyway, so that's part of the reason why I'm giggling with some of this stuff. I'm watching some of these videos go through my head of the League of something gentlemen. Anyway, I almost got it. Yeah, it's the League of something. Anyway, so yeah, we could be the League of like-minded beings. Uh, so that would be there are what there are freakish folk out there that want to mate with Jesus. Shemini Christmas. Oh yeah, we could always say, "Wow, Mary Magdalene, how hot was that bitch?" Biatch. Woo, man. Man, I'd like to get between her curves. What curve? I'm not even going to go any further. That was sacrilegious enough in itself. But to the point, it's like, um, I want to have Jesus' baby. I prayed for it. I want Jesus' baby. Jesus gonna come down and touch me. I'm gonna have Jesus's baby. Yeah, that's right. He'll be able to make me wine out of water anytime. But I'm gonna have Jesus's baby. I knew some folks like that down here in the South. I ain't lying. Hey, whoo. You know, but I'm telling you, just touch my belly. And when Jesus gets old enough, he's going to make me all the wine I can drink. Because when Jesus makes wine, that wine's good wine. And I can't get drunk on the on the wine made from Jesus. You just don't get that you don't get drunk on that. That's the love of Jesus. I know some Christian alcoholics, but red wine's good for you. Jesus drank red wine. Yeah, but he didn't drink 3 bottles at one sitting, for God's sakes. And if he did, how do you know that he had the Last Supper? How do you know that he didn't have, lox and bagels instead of bread and wine? What else did he have on the menu? Did they have pheasant under glass, or did they have glass back in them days? I'm just, playing the fool, but to the point, there are people that I have been around that their mentality is such as, well, but Jesus, if he blessed the water and turned it into wine, then you could drink all that wine that Jesus made. It's holy wine, and if you got drunk, you'd be drunk on the love of Jesus. Those are like-minded individuals as well. Just saying. So, but anyway, now I'm just absolutely being plumb crazy. But you have, when you're out in the country and one of the churches down the road from you still handles snakes, you know, I'm just saying, and when them folks are handling rattlesnakes and such like that, now it's one thing to handle a oak snake, and I got no beef with a snake. I've had my conversation with you all about. I've got a couple of huge snakes that probably live right over my bathroom right there, but they've been with the house for the last 25 years. Why would I run them off? But anyway, and they're too big to get in my chicken pen, so I don't worry about it. But to the point though is like, but now if you're going to go talking to a rattlesnake during your prayer meeting, then you can also expect that Jesus is going to turn the water into wine, and it's okay to drink it like that, as you're talking to your snake friends. Hmm. So, and there are folks all over the place that when you get into when I traveled around with the carnival back in the 60s and 70s, and into the 80s as well. But there were some places in Alabama. Now, I got to say, there's some places in Georgia too, but they were a little weirder in Alabama. I don't know why. There's some of these places in Alabama. It's like, whoa, dear, 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 if you get where that is, dueling banjos, But some of this stuff is like, y'all are Americans, right? Yeah. Yeah, and you believe in what? Well, down here and around where we live, this is what we believe in. But I'm still American, all right. But some of the stuff they believe in is like, leave the county and nobody else believes it but the people in that county in Alabama. Just saying, there's some strange places I've been, seen some oddities over the years, inbreeding from families. Oh my God. Three legs, two arms on one side, extra fingers on the side of the hand. Okie dokie. I don't know what kind of gene pool you've been in, but sounds like somebody just jumped in the pool and gene came out. I don't know. That was inappropriate, but it's the truth. I'm telling you, so you just got to say there's some stuff like that. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Thank you, Pamela. I had part of it. Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah, that's a really crazy. You gotta have a strange sense of humor, I guess, just to watch the damn shows. But it's like okie dokie. But them Brits are like that. Uh, and I'm a lumberjack and I don't, and I'm okay. I work all night in the play, I dress in women's clothing and hang around in bars. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. you know, Monty Python. You gotta love it. And if you've ever seen The Life of Brian, oh, talk about being sacrilegious. And I've noticed I think it's Netflix, maybe it's Hulu. No, it's Netflix, where they've got Monty Python's Holy Grail back on. So it's like, that's a classic in itself, and if you've never seen it, smoke a bowl and sit down with your favorite beverage and watch Monty Python and just let him take you off on a trip, of extraordinary gentlemen. Thank you, Pamela. Epic, absolutely, you know, and the lumberjack song. And there's some people, and you guys might know, and and I want to say it was Eric, and I can't remember his last name. But I watched a documentary back in the '90s about this, and it was about the one skit that they did where the guy sits in the bar and another guy walks up and goes, "Hey, how's your wife? Have a go, have a go." Wink, wink, nod, nod. Hey, have a go, have a go. And it's like, and if you've never seen the skit, then you ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. But the person who brought it up, and they were sitting around the table talking about it, he goes, I passed this thing around, and everybody looked at it and went, have a go, wink, wink, nod, nod. What the hell? And it's like, have a go, wink, wink. You got a wife? Yeah, have a go. You know what? But now, when you watch the skit, of course, it all makes sense. And as a director and an actor myself, I'm like, there are some scenes where you look at it on paper and go, how in the hell am I going to make this work? Well, you have to go through the words and the expressions and the gimmick and the actions with what's printed. That what makes it funny. The words themselves aren't funny. It's what you do with the words. So, but anyway, just as a point about Monty Python, though, I wish I could remember what the skit is, but anyway, it's wink, wink, nod, nod, have a go, have a go. Anyway, that's an epic one to me too, because there's nothing in it, and there's also true to uh, uh, as I finish this up here with a little bit of Saturday Night Live is not what it used to be. I refuse to watch it now; it makes me puke. But in the old days, there was a show that I believe it was Steve Martin, and I can't remember who else it was, and it may have been Eddie Murphy. And right at the end of the show, their skits had ran a little short. They were done sooner than not. So Steve Martin comes out and he kind of leans into the camera and he goes, "What the hell is that?" And then he leaves the camera and somebody comes out and they look and they go, I don't know. What the hell is that? And they're just looking. And then somebody else and they pop back. I don't know what it is. And then somebody, well, what the hell is that? And that's all they do through the whole thing. But it's one of the funniest little small snippets of skit. And all they were trying to do, it was the end of the show. And instead of doing something or whatever, watch History of the World Part One. Yes, hysterical. Absolutely. But with that, though, it's like, the simplest thing. Well, what the hell is it? And Steve Martin just making a face and then going off a camera and somebody else coming back on. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Dan Aykroyd or Chevy Chase. But to the point, though, comedy was really comedy back then, in my opinion. That comics just don't have the same kind of sense of what, doing something stupid like Steve Martin did back in the day that would just make you literally just roll on the ground laughing, just sure enough, rolfing yourself to death, if you will. But anyway, time for an old man to go to the bathroom and get rid of a butt cramp after an hour and 42 minutes of being around you lovely people. So, gonna just say thank you for the laughs. Watch Extraordinary Gentlemen. We are a league of like minded beings. So, Red Skelton. Oh my God, Red Skelton, my favorite. In fact, I used to do pantomimes of Red Skelton and so forth when I was in theater and things like that. And I didn't necessarily copied him, but I used his style with some of the comedy shows that I've been in, and along with George. Rest your butt. My butt is rested. I got to get up and move it. That's what a butt cramp is all about. But anyway, so I'll finish with a prayer and a good morning to all of you good people at 3:04 in the morning. So, um, yeah, sometimes I wear my butt on my shoulders, but I don't think my ass is showing tonight. But anyway, love and prayers to all of you. We are already a group of like-minded individuals, like-minded beings. Thank you for being a part of my club, our club. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful thing that's on the planet and in the universe. It's not just here. So, with that said, I pray that every single one of you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations will accept and receive the blessings from the universe. That you will accept and receive these blessings and accept them after you get them. You have to accept them and then you have to accept the healing. So accept, and receive it. It's there for each of us to receive, Pass it along, send those smiles around. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep laughing your butt off, and then you won't have to lose weight. Best way to lose weight is to laugh your ass off. So, with that said, I love you all. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank you, Pamela, Amazing Grace, Quartz, as always, and anybody else I can't see at the moment. Thank you. My love to you, and have a good morning and a better tomorrow. And as we say around South Georgia, TTFN, ta ta for now.